grabbed two knives, and then she had came back towards me, she was like at first I was running away from her with the knife.
Floyd Mayweather's daughter is running through a man's house with two kitchen knives in her hands, and there is a woman bleeding out by the front gate. The man they were both fighting over was somewhere inside that same house the whole time. What happened that night only starts to make sense once you understand what NBA YoungBoy had been doing to the women around him for years. Jania Meshel. Jania Meshel's story is where a lot of people first started seeing the kind of man YoungBoy really was behind closed doors. She was just 18 years old and pregnant when the world got its first real look at her relationship with Kentrell Golden. In February of 2018, video from a Florida hotel security camera started going around online, and what it showed was YoungBoy grabbing and slamming her around. The clip traveled fast, and suddenly millions of strangers had opinions about her relationship. Jania went online right after to defend him, saying it was just playing, but most people had already watched the footage and were not buying it. Prosecutors charged him with aggravated assault, kidnapping, and weapons offenses. He eventually took a plea deal in Georgia in 2019, walking away with probation, mandatory anger management, and a court order to stay away from her. The case closed, but the video was never going away, and it has followed Jania everywhere since that day. She gave birth to their son Casey in February of 2019, and from that point forward, she was basically raising him on her own, working around YoungBoy's long stretches in jail and his in and out involvement. Their personal business kept finding its way into his music, and Jania made it clear on live that she was tired of being talked about that way.
Speaking negatively on me and then you're lying. It's not like you're speaking negatively on me and then you're telling the truth. You're lying on me and you constantly lying on me. I haven't listened to it. I don't plan on listening to it because every time I listen to it, it's either saying F me or F my baby or I'm this, I'm that.
She eventually put herself back together and built an audience as an influencer and YouTuber, but even that came with problems she did not ask for. When she later got into a relationship with NBA player Dejane, a fresh wave of people started digging through her past and spreading DNA rumors because there is a part of the internet that refuses to let YoungBoy's name be separated from hers. Her son Casey has also reportedly had to deal with kids bullying him at school because of the mess that comes with his father's name. Jania has talked openly about what it cost her to do single motherhood alone and about how many times she has had to start completely over. Lapatra Jacobs. Before April of 2020, Lapatra Jacobs was not known to anybody. She was not trying to be an influencer or put her business on the internet. She was just a woman who had a child with YoungBoy and was trying to keep her life as quiet as possible, which was already not easy given how famous he was. Then Ayana Mayweather showed up at his Houston home and Lapatra's life changed in a way no person should ever have to go through. On the night of April 4th, 2020, Ayana came to the house saying she was YoungBoy's fiancée and found Lapatra already there. The two of them got into a fight, and by the end of it, Lapatra had been stabbed several times in the right arm with two kitchen knives. She was rushed into emergency surgery at a hospital. In the weeks and months that came after, she posted pictures of the cast on her arm, the wounds, the brace, letting people see the real damage that had been done to her body. She said she could not even fully move her arm at first, and a full year later, she went back online to say she was still not completely healed and that looking at those pictures was still painful. That is the kind of injury that does not go away quietly. It shows up in small ways every single day. What Lapatra described beyond the body damage was a level of mental and emotional pain that is harder to put a number on, but just as serious. She posted on Instagram stories expressing that she was having thoughts of ending her life before deleting those posts and trying to deal with the wave of hate and attention coming at her from strangers who had decided to make her situation their entertainment. She talked about being messed up mentally, about carrying the weight of something she never chose to be a part of. She took the matter to court and filed a civil lawsuit against Ayana Mayweather, covering the physical pain, the mental suffering, medical bills, money she lost, and the permanent marks left on her body, which means every bit of what she went through is sitting in a legal document somewhere for anyone to read. None of what happened to Lapatra was her doing. She never volunteered to be caught in the middle of someone else's love triangle. She never asked to be the one bleeding by the front gate while her child's father was sitting inside the same house the whole time. The reason any of this happened is that YoungBoy was keeping serious relationships with several women at the same time, none of them knowing the full picture, and the explosion that was eventually going to come from that arrangement landed directly on Lapatra's body. Ayana Mayweather. Yaya's story sits in a complicated place because she is both someone who got caught up in the chaos YoungBoy built around himself and the person who grabbed 2 knives that night. Both of those things are real, and one does not erase the other. She is Floyd Mayweather's daughter, so the second she got arrested, the whole world was talking about it in a way that would have been hard to deal with even for someone who had all the money and support in the world. The charge she was first looking at carried up to 99 years, which tells you how seriously the state of Texas was taking what went down. In 2022, she pled guilty to aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and got 6 years of probation. She said it was self-defense when police questioned her right after it happened, and she is held to parts of that story, but she has also started doing the real work of being honest about who she was and what she chose in that season of her life. The police body cam video from her interrogation shows a young woman who was genuinely shaken, trying to put together what happened while she was still sitting in the shock of it.
I had got away from her, and I went and I grabbed 2 knives, and then she had came back towards me. She was at first I was running away from her with the knives, and then she had pulled my hair back, and then all I remember is after she pulled my hair back, my head came back down, and then I just swung the knives to her.
But what that footage does not show you is how she ended up in that house in the first place, or why she genuinely believed she had every right to be there, or why another woman was in the same house with the same belief. That part of the story belongs to YoungBoy. He had created a situation where more than one woman truly thought she was his main person, and when those 2 realities finally crashed into each other, it was Yaya and Lapatra who paid the price for it. The probation, the legal requirements she has to meet every year, the long stretch of public embarrassment, and the way fans and other women in YoungBoy's circle labeled her a homewrecker all got started by the way he was choosing to move in his relationships. She has spoken about trying to be better for her son's sake, and in November 2025 she went on X and publicly apologized to Lapatra's parents, and to her own family, owning the harm she caused while still being open about believing there was a self-defense element to what happened. Arcola's chapter of this story is the one that is genuinely hard to sit with, and it is still going as of early 2026. In November of 2023, YoungBoy was on house arrest out in Utah, and Arcola came to the property to pick up their son, Kyle. She says that when she arrived, 2 women came at her and she got hit in the face with a gun. The cut on her face needed 5 stitches to close up. She and the baby both had blood on them. She put the photos out for people to see. According to her, YoungBoy was standing there watching the whole thing. She chose not to press charges right at that moment, but she got her son back, and she went straight to the courthouse in December of 2023 to file for child support. She said that was the last thing she was willing to put up with.
After that happened with my eye is when I decided to cut ties, and that's when I marched my happy-go-lucky ass down, because I was like, that's just the end of it.
The child support fight turned into a whole separate battle on its own. She said he kept running from the paperwork and getting rude with the people who were trying to serve him until he ended up locked up, and they finally caught up with him there. When they finally got to court, his lawyer kept going back and forth with Arcola directly, which rubbed the judge the wrong way, and the support amount ended up being higher than it probably would have been otherwise. YoungBoy went online calling her a liar who was just after money, and at one point he posted saying, "Girl, f*** yo baby," in response to her speaking out about his parenting. His mom, Shahonda, came out publicly taking his side on top of all that. The thing about the burned finger was the part that really got people talking. When Kyle came back from a visit, Arcola noticed something wrong with his finger and it looked like a burn. When she asked about it, someone told her a dog had bitten him. Arcola went on live and broke down exactly why that answer did not add up.
That was not a dog bite, because a dog has tops and bottoms just like we do. So if a dog bites, it would have been on both sides. It was only on this side. And just the brown around his finger told me everything I needed to know. Brown indicates a burn.
She has gone on live many times breaking down what it actually costs to raise their son with no real help, talking about the eviction that went on her record after YoungBoy stopped paying rent on an apartment he had put her in, the plane tickets she was paying for out of her own pocket just so Kale could go see his father, and the shoes she kept sending over that never got sent back. Star Dejane. Star Dejane's story has something in it that the others mostly do not, and that is the DNA situation. She has one biological son with YoungBoy named Kamiri, but for a long time, a second child named Cameron was also being treated as part of the family before a DNA test showed he was not actually YoungBoy's. When something like that comes out, and it is tied to one of the most talked about rappers in the country, it does not stay private for long. It puts Star in the middle of a specific kind of public ridicule that does not just go away, and it added a whole extra layer of tension to a co-parenting situation that was already difficult. She has been in YoungBoy's world since before he got famous, longer than most of the women on this list, and the frustration from those years shows. Things came to a head in 2025 and 2026 when she went on X and made her feelings about his priorities very clear. She called him out publicly for being more focused on other women than on being present for his kids, and she did it in language that left no room for misreading. Around that same time, people online started speculating that YoungBoy had fathered her new baby daughter, and she shut that down directly without letting it drag on. She also picked up a legal case in 2019 from an incident at an Atlanta hotel while she and YoungBoy were still together, which means his world left a mark on her record on top of everything else. The baby mama wars between the women in his circle have pulled her in too, with other women bringing up her kids in their own separate arguments and dragging her into things she did not start. What Star's story really shows is what the slow version of this damage looks like. She's been carrying it for close to a decade, and it stacks up into something just as heavy as the louder moments the other women went through. The embarrassment from the DNA situation, years of a man being in and out of his kids' lives, social media drama that keeps pulling her back in whenever something new blows up, none of it shakes off easily. Which other women do you know that NBA YoungBoy has ruined their lives? Let me know in the comments section. Also, click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this. See you in the next one.